physical support. So I'll give us all a moment here to get into position. We'll be here for just a few moments so we can begin our practice as we usually do. And that's with a little bit of centering and checking in with the physical body, with the breath, with our mind, and allow all those things to start coming together and to start connecting. So again, if you are extended through those fingertips, heart, head, and belly are melting towards the ground. Sit bones are sinking all the way back to the heels. Those of us on our support or props will still try to allow the body to sink towards the ground as much as possible. It might take us a couple breaths for the body to release. So start to feel tension let go of the body in the side of the body with the breath as we exhale. We should be feeling a stretch across that low back, around the hips. Purposeful compression in those knees. If those arms are extended, the more we can melt the heart towards the ground, the more we'll get an opening through the shoulder girdle here. Eyes are closed and we're just feeling, noticing, and moving through the body. Consciously letting go of any lingering tightness and tension in the body. When we begin with our centering, we also acknowledge and become aware of any areas of the body that need a little extra TLC today. And we honor those areas and we welcome them into our practice. Start to feel the breath a little bit more deeply now. Trying to breathe as smoothly and evenly as possible in and out through the nose. In our child's pose, we might feel that breath a little differently. So you might feel a little bit more in the back body. But we can still notice that natural expansion as we breathe in, fresh air, prana, and energy. And that natural contraction as we breathe out and exhale away stale old air and energy. Try to establish a Samavriti pranayama here, so an even or equal breath for just a few more rounds of breathing before we release the pose. On our inhales, we will mentally count the number that we're each breathing in. It doesn't matter what number that is. And then when we get to our exhale, we mentally count and try to breathe out to the same number. And then let's all cycle through one more round of breath. This breath will let go of the count. Just try to make it the biggest breath of your day yet. So that next inhale, we're going to start to breathe in and we're going to fill ourselves all the way up to the brim. Keep inhaling, inhaling, inhaling until we can possibly not take any more air into the body. And at the very, very top of that breath, gently begin to exhale. Same thing. Take as much time as needed to exhale and squeeze this breath out. Put some effort into it. Draw the belly in and exhale, exhale every last drop. And then we'll let go of trying to follow and control the breath for a moment. Let it wander away wherever it wants to go. And we'll come back to the physical body. So just start to feel the connection with the body to the floor and to our props. If our fingertips are extended forward, let's walk them back towards the body. Start floating the head and the body up from the ground. We're going to remove the props if they're there. and then bring ourselves right up into a tabletop position. So we'll stack the hands underneath the shoulders. The fingers are still splayed nice and wide, bringing the knees underneath the hips. The toes may be tucked under or pointed. So another benefit of child's pose is the releasing of the pose and getting that rush of blood flow through the knee joints. So stabilizing the low back and the hips, stretch the right leg back behind the body. Toes are tucked under, ball of the foot is to the floor. We may shift our weight back through that heel if we want to intensify that stretch. We should feel the eye of the knee opening. Be mindful of where the head is in space. Take a nice deep breath in. On our exhale, right knee comes down. Low back and hip should remain nice and parallel to the floor. Give that left leg a stretch back. Ball the foot to the floor. Shifting our weight back to that heel to intensify the stretch. All the way up the back of the leg. Equal weight in both hands. If you're modifying, you could be down here on your forearms as well. Just make sure that you're drawing in through the lower abdominal muscles to protect that back. Big breath in. On the exhale, the knee comes down. Now going right for our extension and flexion, cat-cows, trying to let the breath guide us. On the inhale, we relax the belly, we lift the tail, and we elongate the spine all the way up to the crown of the head, gazing forward. On the exhale, we draw the tailbone under, pull the belly in, round the back up to the ceiling, draw the chin towards the chest, drishti moves to the belly button. And then we'll all find our rhythm. So we'll probably not be moving in sync here. It depends on our breath. We're just trying to get things to loosen up here. So sway in the hips and that low back. Feel the breath in that movement all the way up and down the spine, vertebra by vertebra. Between those shoulder blades, the neck. If we want to hang out in one of these a little bit longer, do some lateral movement side to side. That can feel quite nice. And then we're going to balance ourselves out and come back and meet in tabletop. From here, tuck the toes under and let's walk our body towards the back of our mat. And we will start with a little bit of our low flow to now create a little bit more heat and energy in the body. Like I said, we might not all be moving in sync or at the same pace. We might be taking some extra breaths throughout this practice, and that's fine. Walk the hands about one hand's distance forward. Arms are nice and strong. Pull the low belly in. On our inhale, let's rock it forward into a kneeling plank. Let's pause here for a moment and breathe. Arms are strong. We should be able to lift up our knees and be in a full plank. That's our alignment. On the exhale, bring the knees back down. Sink the hips back, come into a bow. Not necessary for the head to touch down, but I do want us to lift our palms up, driving just the fingertips into the mat. One, that will release pressure off of our wrists, help stretch out those forearms, and we can bow the head towards the ground. On the inhale, we glide back forward to our kneeling plank. On the exhale, draw the navel back towards the spine, sink into your bow, lift the palms, stretch it out. Adding on, inhale, kneeling plank. This exhale is going to be a tiny chaturanga, so really strong core. Bend the elbows straight back into the rib cage just a little bit. Inhale, straighten those arms. Exhale, take your bow. Follow your breath as best as possible. Inhale, kneeling plank. Exhale, little tricep push-up. Those inner upper arm bones should be grazing the rib cage. Inhale to straighten the arms. Exhale to bow it back. Now we're going to build again. So we're all inhale forward. This exhale is going to bring us all the way down to our bellies. Try to go as slowly as possible. Keep the head in line with the spine. Hands should be underneath the shoulders. Squeeze your elbows in. Point the toes. Flatten the feet. Keep those feet extra wide if you take care of the low back. Or zip legs and feet to touch into the tail of a snake. Chin is forward, activating the muscles of the upper back. Inhale, squeeze them together. Lift the heart, Bhujangasana Cobra Pose. Exhale, come back down to the ground. This is our push-up prep. We're gonna tuck our toes under. We're gonna pull the belly in. We're gonna push into the ground through our arms, keeping the elbows close to the rib cage. Try to push straight back up to a kneeling plank. On our exhale, pull the belly back. Draw those hips back and take a bow. Pop those palms into Hatha Bandha. Those wrists want to take a break. We're going to do 2 more of those rounds. Inhaling, kneeling plank. Exhale, controlled lowering down through Chaturanga Dandasana. Chin forward, flatten the feet, keep them wide if you modify. Inhale, lift up Bhujangasana, Cobra Pose. Now really squeeze through the back, all the way to the glutes. If you have a different version of Cobra, you're more than welcome to take it. Exhale, come all the way back down. So I had an extra step here. Tuck the toes, elbows squeeze in, belly pulls in. We inhale to push back up through kneeling plank. Exhale, take a bow. Now I want us all to do 1 more round. Follow your breath, take your modifications. Good. We're going to meet back into our bow. You can take it even further back into a full child's pose if you want. Take a breath or 2 here. Next inhale, we'll float the body back up into a tabletop, but I want our hands to be slightly forward still. Tuck the toes under, draw the low belly in. We're going to cross the ground away from us, lifting our hips up and back into Adho Mukha Svanasana. So this is an inversion. Let's just be mindful of any blood pressure, heart conditions when we get into this pose. This might be our first time going upside down this morning. Wonderful to do first thing in the morning. Get some blood flow up into that brain. Bend those knees deeply if our spine needs a little bit more space and lengthening today. Walk your dog, pedaling 1 heel at a time, bending the opposite knee to intensify the stretch for the backs of the legs. Modify for your wrists or your hands today by coming into Dolphin Pose on your forearms. You can interweave all 10 fingers for that variation. At any time now or during our practice, we want to sit back into a child's pose to reconnect to our body and the breath. We have permission to do so. We're in control of our body. We are in control of our practice. Now continue to root down through the mound of the index finger and thumbs in the hands, but externally rotate those upper arm bones away from the ears. So you're drawing your shoulders down the back. The neck should be long and loose. Draw that low belly in, belly towards the thighs, pressing those thighs towards the back of the mat, allowing the weight to sink down through the heels regardless if they touch or not. Let's all try to take 1 more cycle of breath. Our next inhale looks forward, maybe stepping feet to hands or hands to feet. For those of us that want to stay upside down in Uttanasana, continue to stretch out the whole back of the body all the way through the backs of the legs. You may reach towards the floor. You may grab onto your elbows. If we are modifying for any reason, knees are bent, the weight of the elbows or even the hands are on your thighs. We should all have very active feet here. Pick up your toes if you're not sure. Press to the 4 corners of the feet. Try to pull up through the quadriceps, the front of the thighs. Start thinking about those lower bandhas, so mula bandha of the pelvic floor. The perineum muscles contract and lift. Uddiyana bandha, abdominal lock, just below the navel center. Contract, pull it in and up. Moving through a couple rounds of our halfway lifts. So on the inhale, place your hands on your shins or higher. Lift the chest by squeezing the back. Very similar to Bhujangasana, Cobra Pose. Gaze slightly forward. The exhale will bring you back into your full Uttanasana. Inhale, squeeze the back to open the heart. Flatten out the back. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. You can over-exaggerate this. Good. Exhale, fold. Some of you already went for it. Next inhale, if you want to locust those arms beside the torso, straighten the arms, press the palms towards each other. You'll feel this through the upper backs of the arms. Exhale, fold. One more. Inhale, halfway lift. Next exhale is going to set us back to Utkatasana. So I'm modifying. I've had my hands on my thighs the whole time. I'm going to sit my hips back, draw my belly in. Once I'm in this position, I'll extend my arms forward and up. So really powerful pose. This actually translates as fierce pose. Feet should be parallel to each other. The knees should be tracking straight forward towards those toes. Shrug shoulders away from ears, or place your hands in Anjali Mudra in front of the heart for a modification. So we're gonna go right into a little bit of our balance, get our brain awake this morning. Pull in through the core. Lift that right foot from the floor and try to hover. Notice the breath. Bring that foot down, squeeze, lift, other foot from the floor, hover. Sink that foot down. Draw those sit bones back and down. Anchor the tailbone towards the floor. And then on our next inhale, we're going to straighten everything up. Straighten the legs, reach the arms up, lift up towards the ceiling, add the heels, heels up. Breathe, open up the whole front of the body. Turn the palms out. Exhale, float the heels down and the arms down beside the body. We'll go right for a couple rounds of palm tree pose. Turn the palms out. Inhale, reach wide and overhead. Big stretch. Strengthen those feet and ankles. This time, bring the palms to touch. And on the exhale, as slowly as we can, hands to heart, heels to the floor. Inhale, big circle. Reach out wide, palms up, heels up. Reach tippy toes. Exhale, hands to heart, heels come down. Let's do one more round. Follow the breath. We'll meet on the exhale with the feet grounded and the hands in front of our heart. So some of us might need to move. We are going to do a couple more rounds of our Surya Namaskar, nice and slow with modifications as needed. So I want to start towards the top of our mat. So if we need to walk a little bit forward, go ahead and do so. We're also starting with a few inches between the feet. So our normal hips width stance. Float the arms up beside the body in Tadasana, mountain pose. We'll unlock those knees, strengthen through the front of the thighs. Lower the upper buttock down to the ground, pulling front body to back body. Feel an openness through the front of the chest and the heart, and no tension whatsoever in the face or the neck. The head is just floating on the shoulders. Again, breathe as much as you need to throughout this process. Don't stress about that. Just keep the breath flowing. Turn the palms out. Big breath in. Uttanasana, extended mountain. Drishti to thumbs for a gentle extension. On the exhale, bend the knees. Lead with the heart. Draw the arms back, around, and down into your forward fold, whatever that looks like for you today. Some of you might be going all the way upside down. Inhale, halfway lift. Pull the shoulder blades together, iron out the back. Good. Exhale, bend the knees as deeply as we need to, planting the fingertips to the floor. Now try to switch up which foot we step back with. We always tend to step back with the same foot. If you're not sure, just remember this time. Big step back. We're all coming into plank position. You may be in forearm plank. You may be in a kneeling version of a plank. Most importantly, keep the low belly pulled in. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. You're welcome to approach that from full plank. Elbows, graze the rib cage. We're coming all the way down to the ground. Point the toes, flatten the feet. Feet are wide for low backs or zip together. Inhale, squeeze the back body, lift up, Bhujangasana, Cobra Pose. Exhale, adding this extra step. We bring the body all the way back down. We tuck our toes under, keep your arm bones in, and push up as you inhale, kneeling or full plank. Here's where we'll all catch up. Exhale to your resting pose. So that might be Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, Shavasana, all fours, or Halasana, child's pose. Whatever it is, pause, observe, and breathe. So on the next inhale, look forward. Some of you might be able to step your right foot forward between the hands. Others of us are going to drop down to our knees first, take our right hand behind our right thigh, and safely place our right foot forward. So I'm going to break this down, taking our time. You may keep your back knee down. If so, you might want to double up your mat or place a towel underneath your mat to give it extra cushion. Pull into that low belly. Walk your hands up to your front thigh, one hand at a time. Root the tailbone down. Rise up through the chest and the heart. Hips should be squaring forward. Anchor the tailbone under. Shoulders relax down the back. Adding those arms, low lunge. You may draw your hips slightly forward, but that front knee should never go past the toes. Breathing, looking upwards for a little bit more extension. One more big breath in. Our exhale is going to bring us all the way back down. You may bring your arms and fingertips straight down to the ground. You may use your front thigh for a little support, bringing one hand at a time to the ground. Now we can hover that back knee and step the right foot back to a plank, or keep the knee down and we'd end up in a kneeling plank or tabletop. You do not have to take a vinyasa each time, so you're more than welcome to hold plank. You can go to your resting pose, or we'll follow the breath. Exhaling, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhaling, Bhujangasana. Adding that extra step. Exhale, come back down. Tuck the tail and the toes, belly in. Inhale, push back up. Kneeling or full plank. Exhale to your resting pose. Again, we're just going to catch up here and breathe. We may notice an increase in heart rate and breath, even a little bit of heat in the body, all normal and natural. Just come back to a smooth, even breath in and out through the nose. So other side, if you're in downward facing dog, like I said, you might be able to look forward and step your left foot straight forward, ankle underneath the knee. If you're like me, I'm going to come down to my knees, left hand behind the thigh, carefully place my left foot forward. Fingertip lunge, add extra cushion to the back knee. Pull that low belly in, anchor the tailbone. One hand at a time to that front thigh, pushing off that thigh. Really draw that tailbone under. You'll feel a stretch through your right hip flexor as well. From here, finding our balance. Shrug the shoulders from the ears as the arms rise up to the ceiling. Drishti can lift upwards, keeping the back of the neck long. Low lunge. Couple breaths. Take one more inhale in the pose. The exhale is going to bring us down. Whether you're using your front thigh as a little assistant, taking a couple extra steps, you may step back to full plank or slide that foot back into kneeling plank. Holding plank, a resting pose, or moving through a vinyasa. Exhaling, lowering the body down through Chaturanga Dandasana. Squeezing the back of the body to lift the heart. Bhujangasana. Good. Nice choices. Exhale, coming back down. Tuck toes and tail. Inhale, push up. Elbows should graze the body. Exhale, find your resting pose. Pause and breathe. Good. I like seeing everybody doing something a little different. If we're staying mindful, keep that mind within the four corners of our mat. We are practicing our yoga. One more breath wherever you are. Next inhale, we'll look forward, stepping our feet to our hands to our feet, ending back up in our version of Uttanasana, forward fold. Take a breath or two here. Next inhale is our halfway lift. Hands, feet, shins, thighs, even higher. Pull those shoulder blades together. You may locust your arms beside the body if you like. Exhale, sit back and down to that invisible chair. Pull the low belly in. Inhale, arms reach forward and up. Hold and breathe here. We're back into Utkatasana, fierce pose. Shrug those shoulders from the ears. Let's all bring our hands in front of our heart. We're bending into our knees. From here, bring the insides of the feet and knees to touch, or as close as you can. Strong core. Little different approach to Vrikshasana today. Hover your right heel from the floor and at the hip, turn the knee out as far as we can. Now the toes may stay connected. They could draw to the inner ankle or calf. Now we're gonna push through the floor in our left foot as we straighten the left leg. So we're like a tree growing up from the ground. And we're going up, 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 all the way through those lower bandhas, up the spine to the crown of the head. And we should end up in Vrikshasana, tree pose. Steady the drishti on one point. Pelvis should be level and balanced. If our tree falls, we just step it back up. If you'd like to add a different arm position, you may hover the arms out into a V, taking Chin Mudra, index finger to thumb, or any other variation you might like. Sometimes it helps to have our arms out in space. Let's all take another nice deep breath in. On the exhale, the hands are going to come back to our heart center. The knee will point forward first. Bring that foot back down and sink back down into a closed leg Utkatasana. So we're sitting those sit bones back and down, super powerful, strong legs. Hover the left heel from the floor. Open the knee out. Sole of the foot comes towards the inner ankle or calf. Now press down through that right foot to straighten the leg like a tree growing up from the ground. Strong roots through the floor. Lift the heart up into the hands. You're activating the outer thigh to glute. Keep those hips level. Soft gaze, soft breath. Add variations in the arms if you like. Let's take one more nice deep breath in. Exhale, the hands come back to Anjali Mudra. Point the left knee straight forward. Place the foot down next to the right foot. Sink those sit bones back and down. Compact those hips, strong core. Pull those shoulders away from the ears. Good. Another big breath in. We're going to draw that circle. So reach the arms up wide. Straighten the legs up. Turn the palms up. Reach up. Lift the heels up. Our feet are close together. It's going to be more challenging. Try to get as tall as you can. And then exhale, heels down, hands to heart. Good. So we're going to do a couple more bigger standing poses. We might want to use our props for these. So if we are moving our props around, let's just do so mindfully. We'll come into, we're going to do some open hip postures. So Trikonasana, triangle pose, and then we'll do Prasarita Tadasana. If you aren't incorporating props today, if you have your yoga blocks, you can place one block towards the front of your mat, towards the back of your mat. I often use my folded chair. So if you're using a folded chair, place it up to the front of your mat on your right side first, because we'll do our right side first. We want to come to the center of our mat, facing the long edge of our mat. You can bring the fingertips together, and then just take a nice big step out, 1 foot at a time. You might need to wiggle them out there once we get there. Palms are down, shoulders sag away from the ears, neck is long and loose. Our ankles, we want to be almost as wide as the crease of our wrists if it's available. Those feet should stay parallel to each other. So the lateral edge of the foot is running parallel to the short ends of our yoga mat. Draw that front body in, anchor the tailbone towards the floor, pick up those right toes. The thigh bone is opening, externally rotating to point the toes to the front of our yoga mat. Make sure we're not jamming into those knees. The legs will be straight, but they're strong. Little tip at the pelvis here is okay. So you can draw your right hip crease in and lift up the left hip crease. The space along the side bodies, we want it to remain equal. So there's no rounding in the spine and crunching and collapsing in our right side. Really try to keep this even and equal. Inhale, reaching those fingertips forward, and then exhale, windmilling the arms. So I have my blocks there. No way I'm getting to them today, and that's okay. I'm gonna stay more upright, leaning against that invisible wall, an unsupported triangle. So that bottom hand, palm is forward. I'm pressing it into my thigh bone to give my torso a little bit more rotation. Those of you that are able to tip a little forward with the long side bodies, good. Nice alignment, you may do so. If your fingertips are touching down on a prop or the floor, be careful of shifting all your weight through that hand. Keep both legs powerful. Mound of the big toes, inner heels anchored. Mound of the pinky toe, outer heel anchored. Core engaged. Neck is long. One more breath. It's our inhale that brings us back up out of the pose. So you need to reach your top fingertips up to the ceiling. Use your muscles to bring the torso all the way back up to center. Pivot and turn those right toes to face forward to center. Other side, pull the front body in, anchor the tailbone, pick up the left toes, spiral them out by externally rotating in that left thigh bone. Heart should still be open, shoulders are open. Unlock those knees so the legs are straight and strong. Draw that left hip crease inward. Really lengthen the left side. Inhale, reaching it forward. Exhale, windmilling the arms. Active feet. If the fingertips are working towards a prop, keep the strength through the core. Otherwise, that bottom hand can press into the inner thigh with the palm forward, giving ourselves a little bit more opening through the torso, leaning against that visible wall. Be mindful of what the head is doing. You can take your drishti down towards the ground, but the chin shouldn't be collapsing towards the chest, so keep that neck long. Drishti forward or up. A couple more breaths. When you get ready to take that next inhale, that is the inhale that's going to pull you up and out of the pose. So those top fingertips need to reach to the ceiling to pull the torso up. Good. Turn those left toes forward. Exhale, relax those arms. You can swim your shoulders a little bit, a little loosey-goosey there. Heel toe or step those feet back in. So we are going to do one more standing pose from this position, but we probably will need to move our props. So engaged, taking 2 yoga blocks, a block, a book, a seat of a chair, anything that you have that can help. If we have those yoga blocks, we're placing them about shoulder width apart. Back to the center of our mat, fingertips touch, big step out, reaching the fingertips out. So this is another wide stance here. Again, ankles might be as wide as the crease of our wrists. We'll start with the feet parallel, toes pointing forward. Draw the hands onto the hips. This is where all the movement comes in the pelvis. Turn those toes slightly inward, toes in, heels out. Legs are strong. Use the core, lead with the heart. You can open up the heart a little bit, drawing the elbows back, but keep those low ribs engaged into the body. And then we'll follow the breath into the pose. So you might come down just a little bit today. Make sure both legs equally weighted. 4 corners anchored into the ground. And then if the breath guides us, we might be able to go further into the pose. Keep contracting up those thigh bones, the energy strong in the front of the body. We're stretching the whole back of the body. So we'll feel this through our inner thighs, backs of the legs. We just got a little inner thigh stretch and triangle pose to each side. Now those of you hinging more forward, you can keep your drishti underneath the tip of the nose to the floor, or you can bow the head and look between the legs. If your fingertips are touching the floor, you may walk your hands between your feet. The fingers should be pointing forward, same direction as the toes, and the soles and palms of the hands on one straight line. There's other variations as well, so feel free to take those if they're in your practice. Another inversion here for some of us. One more breath. Next inhale brings us to a halfway lift. So we bring ourselves out of the pose about halfway. We want to walk our fingertips forward, lift the chest. Make sure we're really strong in our legs and our core. And on the exhale, bring one hand at a time to your hips. And then inhale up to the crown of the head. Good. Try to inhale even more air. Reach the arms up, palms up. Inhale, inhale. Really important to be breathing in when we come out of our inversions. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart. Heel, toe, step, step, step those feet together. So we'll move around again here. If we need to move, clear our space, you can do that. We're going to end up back to the top of our yoga mat in Tadasana, mountain pose. Good. So once we meet back in mountain pose, feet are hips width apart. Arms float beside the body. Equal weight in both feet. Feel the body connecting to an invisible wall, standing nice and tall, but no tension or strain in the face or the neck. Turn those palms out. Big breath, big reach. Reach to the sides of the room, up to the ceiling. Drishti to the thumbs for a little bit more extension. On the exhale, micro bend those knees, lead with the hips. Arms sweep back, around, and down to Uttanasana, our forward fold. We'll hang out here for an extra breath or two, stretching out the back again in the backs of the legs. Next inhale, halfway lift. Hands, feet, shins, thighs, or even higher. Pull the shoulder blades together, level out that back. Good. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the fingertips to the mat. Opposite foot steps all the way back. We'll meet back in our plank position. Full plank, kneeling plank, forearm plank. Hold your plank, or we'll take a vinyasa. Exhaling down to Chaturanga Tadasana. Upper arm bones, graze the rib cage. Flatten out the tops of the feet. Squeeze the back to inhale, Bhujangasana. Exhale, come all the way down. Kiss the ground. Tuck your toes and your tailbone. Pull the arms in, pull the belly in, and push back up. Kneeling or full plank. Exhale to your resting pose. Adho Mukha Svanasana, Shavasana, or Balasana. And just breathe. Down dog, people. Inhale, lift your heels up as high as you can. Stretch out those feet, crease your toes. And then on the exhale, you'll meet up with those of us already sat back and down in child's pose. Flatten out the feet. The hands can support the forehead or sweep back to those feet. And we'll pause here. So just let the upper body hang over the lower body. Hands under the shoulders, tuck the chin. Inhale, round up one vertebra at a time. Once the head lifts all the way up, we will shift our weight over to either hip and bring our feet forward. So again, you might need to rearrange ourselves a little bit on our mat. If you have a yoga strap, go ahead and get that handy and nearby. And then we're going to come on down to our backs. So if you want to roll down, as we sometimes do in this class, you bring the soles of the feet to touch, the knees wide. You reach those fingertips forward, pull the belly, and you try to lower down, articulating through the spine. Safer way to come down, kind of roll to one side, walk yourself down slowly. And then we'll all meet on our back. So rearrange yourself on your mat, loosen up the clothing, move those ponytails out of the way if you have them. Long body stretch, let's straighten the legs up down the middle of our mat. Flex the feet, pulling the toes to the shins. Reach those arms overhead. We'll feel our low back want to gently arch away from the floor, and that's fine. We can give this body a stretch side to side, right to left. On the exhale, let's float our arms down. Step the feet in. Pull the belly in to hug our knees in, and let's give our back a little massage here. So we'll wrap up the asana portion of our practice with Supta Padangusthasana, just the basic variation of this pose. So we'll want to take hold of the strap, bring the feet to the floor, pull the right leg in, and we're taking the strap near the lower arch of the foot, so where the arch and the heel kind of come together. Arm positions, I talk about this. You can place your hands higher up. Some people like to slide their hands down, elbows in. I like to hover my shoulders. I do want us holding the strap in both hands so the heart can remain open. Straighten that right leg up as much as possible. Press the thigh bone forward to open the eye of the knee. Sliding the left heel straight forward. Press that heel forward. Anchor the left leg flat to the floor. The low back should be grounded. Relax the face and the throat. Come back to that Samavriti pranayama, even and smooth, in and out through the nose. Now take a hold of the strap in the right hand. Bring the left hand on top of the left hip. Both feet are going to be actively flexing and trying to externally rotate. So the toes turn out, heels in both feet. Left side must stay down as we inhale and open the right leg out to the right. You can drop that right elbow to the floor to work as a kickstand. Keep tension on that yoga strap. Big inner thigh growing muscle stretch again. Left arm reaches out from the shoulder, head turns to the left. Take a couple deep breaths here. Our inhale will lead us out. We'll look up, lift the leg up. Hold onto the strap with the left hand. Right thumb can tuck into that right hip crease. Keeping the right buttock connected to the floor and angling our straight leg across our midline to get into this IT band and outer hip and thigh. Feel free to massage into that connective tissue. Taking this over to a twist, left elbow to the floor, keep tension on the strap. Now allow the right hip to lift up. Keeping the right shoulder down, right arm reaches out from the shoulder. Head turns to the right. Couple deep breaths. Relax the face, the jaw, and the throat. Our next inhale brings the head and the leg back up. Today, let's open the strap back up, sliding our left foot in and up. We'll pause and Viparita Karani, sometimes called Waterfall Pose or Legs Up the Wall Pose. Another nice inversion for our body. Bring the right foot to the floor. The strap goes towards the lower arch in the left foot. Straighten the left leg up to the ceiling. Hold the strap in both hands. Press the left thigh bone forward to open up the eye of the knee. Slide that right heel forward. That right foot is actively flexing. Whole right leg is anchoring into the ground. Shrug the shoulders down. Breathe into the back of that left leg, getting that left leg to open and lengthen. Left hand holds on. External rotation of the thigh bones as much as possible. It's just subtle. You might notice the toes turn out, heels in both feet. Bend the left elbow. Left leg is going to open to the left. Right hand to right hip. Keep your right side down. Low back should be flat to the floor. Right side anchored down. Big inner thigh stretch. Keep tension on the strap. Right arm reaches out. Head turns to the right. Couple deep breaths. Our inhale will float the head and the leg back up. Leg stays straight, right hand holds on. Left thumb into that left hip crease, angling the straight leg across the midline. Move it around until you get into that nice, fun stretch for some of us. It could be quite intense. Massage, knead into that area of the body, outer hip and thigh. Then moving into our twist, bend the right elbow, drop it off to the right, keep tension on the strap. Let the left hip come up. At that point, left shoulder should remain grounded. Left arm can reach out from the shoulder. Head turns to the left. Slow, deep breaths, even closing the eyes at this point. Wringing everything out, like taking a washcloth and wringing it out. On the inhale, the head and the leg are going to float back up. Open that strap up. Slide the right foot in and up. Pause here in our inversion. Really beneficial for our circulation, waterfall pose. Can help alleviate feet, ankle, knee discomfort, countering the effects of gravity on the lower half of the body. It redirects our energy and blood flow to our vital organs, towards our heart, our chest, and head. Take one more breath there. And then we can bend those knees, slide the strap off of our feet, just place it off to the side. And then we can hug those knees into our back, reaching those arms across the shin bones as tight as we can get, floating the nose up to the knees, giving our body a nice big hug, filling ourselves up with gratitude that we all found our yoga mats today. Big breath in. And on the exhale, we're going to release our body to the ground and pause for several moments in Shavasana or supported relaxation. So if you have a pillow nearby you'd like to place underneath the knees or legs to help release the low back, do so. You have other props that you want to bring into your practice behind the back, under the head, do so. If we have eye coverings, those are a nice way to help the mind relax, creating some darkness for our eyes. If you feel like you need to do any other little movement here to help the body relax, you can. Remembering that this pose is a pose we practice. We put just as much effort into this pose as we did every other posture or asana we practiced this morning. So we should be purposefully placing the arms out beside the body, palms up. Purposefully relaxing the body. Consciously letting go of any tension or tightness we might find. Allowing the feet to flop open. Rock the head a couple times, loosening the neck. Find the very back center of the skull. Poof the cheeks with air. Wiggle out the mouth, tongue, and jaw. Let the eyelids get heavy. Let the eyes sink down into the sockets. Smooth the skin of the forehead, the brow. Soften and relax the eyebrow center. Let a quality of heaviness come over the whole body. Relax the whole right side of the body. Relax the whole left side of the body. Relax the whole back side of the body. Relax the whole front side of the body. Soften and relax the whole inside of the body. Notice the subtle rise and fall of the belly with the breath. Notice the soft whisper-like breath around the tip of the nose and the nostrils. If the mind wanders, we gently bring it back to this peaceful, calm breath, giving ourselves permission to relax, to let go, and to sink into Shavasana. For those of us that want to continue resting on our back in Shavasana, please continue to do so. Otherwise, start to come back, feeling the breath. We'll start to breathe some life back into our body, waking up the toes, the fingertips, rocking the head side to side. Reaching those arms overhead one more time for a long body stretch. Stretching the legs out, reaching through the right side of the body, the left side of the body. Then we can walk those feet in, hug the knees in, massage our back side to side a couple times. And then we'll allow one arm to fall beside the head. We'll roll onto that side, allowing the head to cradle on the arm. Pausing in Supta Balasana, sleeping baby pose for a moment. And then keeping the eyes soft or closed, press down into the ground, and we'll bring our bodies up. Even if we're softly opening our eyes to organize ourselves, just try to keep your attention and awareness inward as much as possible. We are going to come into a seated position, so we will want to give our sit bones a little bit of a prop so that we can sit up as tall as possible. So I'll give us a moment to get comfortable here. Placing the legs in any comfortable seated position. Sukhasana, easy cross, Siddhasana, heel to heel. If you practice Ardha Padmasana or Purna Padmasana, you may practice those seated postures as well. That's half lotus or full lotus, as long as the seated posture doesn't cause any discomfort for the knees, the hips, or the back. Find the sit bones. Pull the flesh out of the way. Sit up tall for the crown of the head. We'll go for a few rounds of Nadi Shodhanam, alternate nostril breathing. I'll guide us through a couple rounds, and then we'll practice a few more rounds on our own. So once we're seated up nice and tall, taking Chin Mudra in the hands, index finger to thumb, and placing the hands on the knees. In your right hand, you take Nasagra Mudra. So you make the peace symbol in the right hand, gluing the middle and index finger together. The thumb, the ring, and the pinky fingers will be our pinchers. Turn the right hand towards the face and press the middle and index finger into that third eye center. Gently rest the thumb on the outside of the right nostril and the ring and pinky on the outside of the left nostril. To begin, inhale through both nostrils. Exhale back out through both nostrils. Close the right nostril with the thumb and inhale through the left. Close the left, open the right, and exhale. Inhale back through the right. Close right, open left, exhale. That's one round. Inhale left. Close left, open right, exhale. Inhale back through the right. Close right, open left, exhale. That's 2 rounds. Go for another 2 or 3 rounds at your own rhythm and pace. If the right arm or head get tired, take the palm of the left hand under the right elbow to help prop it up. Maintain your posture all the way up the length of the spine. If one side is a little more clogged than the other, do your best to just breathe through it. You may also mentally count your breath so that it's as even as possible on all the inhales and exhales, left to right. So we'll all finish this last round of Nadi Shodhanam. Take your time, there's no hurry. When you get to the end of this round, you should be exhaling out through the left nostril. At the bottom of that exhale, out the left nostril, when you get there, eyes will remain closed. Bringing the hands back into Chin Mudra, resting them gently on the knees, sitting up through the crown of the head, and just pausing for a moment. You can focus the mind's eye at that third eye center, the tip of the nose. Doing so as mindfully and softly as possible, I invite you to switch the cross of your legs, giving your feet and legs a quick little wiggle if needed. Next, we'll go for a few rounds of our mantra that we've been practicing. This is an abbreviated version of a longer mantra, but for our purposes, it's the intention behind the mantra. Mantras may be chanted in different ways. So if you know this mantra and you've been taught a different variation of it, that's fine. You may mute your laptop and just practice it on your own. So I will start to lead it and then eventually stop and pause. The practice of a mantra can continue by mentally repeating it over and over again. It's a really powerful way to go into our meditation practices, calming, centering the mind. This mantra is Loka Samasta Sukhi No Bhavantu. It basically means, may all beings everywhere be happy and free. So if you'd like to join in, please do. And then once we stop the mantra, you may continue to repeat it mentally or just sit for some time with your breath in our meditation. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. 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 Loka Samasta Sukhino bhavantu loka samasta Sukhino bhavantu. Slowly coming back to our physical body, noticing our seat and posture, continuing to sit up tall through the crown of the head, being mindful of our surroundings, eyes are closed, reach the arms out beside the body, turning the palms up to the ceiling. We'll take another nice big breath together, inhaling, this time reaching the arms all the way up to the ceiling and gathering in everything we need for the rest of this beautiful day. Turning the palms back out, exhaling, floating the arms all the way back down to the ground and letting go of all that other junk we don't need today. And one more time, inhale, palms up, reach the arms up. Bring the palms together, exhaling the hands to the heart center, humbly bowing our head down to our heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and remembering and thankful for anyone else that made it possible for us to practice our yoga together today. If you'd like to join me in chanting the Om Shanti mantra, please do so. Taking a deep breath in through the nose to begin. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat. And I thank you all so much for taking the effort, the time to come together, to support each other, to practice our yoga.